Hi, Rastafarian here. I know that I just had a video on the form guide thing, but there was definitely something else that I saw on the Reddit prevalently in the past few days that I really want to discuss, and it's about runes, rune choice, most notably keystone choices. Um, so the first thing that I'd want to talk about here is that I see a lot of people argue to take Electrocute on Kayn if you don't know what form you're going. This is really a trap, um, because there really isn't any excuse to not know the form that you want to go prior to the game starting. You should always know what form you're going to go as soon as you see that fifth champion locked in on the enemy team. Um, And continuing that, Electrocute in general is just a poor keystone on Kayn. It's actually fairly difficult to proc. We don't really have a super fast combo. It doesn't really do that much damage. It doesn't scale well. Um, Most junglers, assassin junglers specifically, if they're taking a damage keystone, will be taking Dark Harvest in the current meta. We've even seen this sort of resurgence of Dark Harvest Kha'Zix now that the assassin build is widely considered the better build, uh, as opposed to Bruiser. Of course, we've also seen things like Phase Rush Kha'Zix, so it's a little up in the air for him right now. But this video is not about Kha'Zix. So to offer some evidence as to why, um, Electrocute is bad, because I've tried to explain this to people before, and people just don't want to listen. They're very stuck in their own ways. So I'll try to offer some legitimate evidence as to Electrocute being a poor keystone choice. So obviously we're on low analytics again. We're gonna scroll down here to the runes. We see Electrocute has in Platinum Plus, in all regions across the world, has a 46.7% win rate and a 2.8% pick rate. This rune just isn't good on Kayn, and here's some statistical evidence proving my argument. Obviously, we see Dark Harvest taking way more wins, way more. Guys, if you take Electrocute on Kayn, I legitimately think that you are griefing your team. The rune just isn't good. Please, don't take Electrocute. It's bad. So, that was pretty much all I wanted to show on Lolitics. We'll be coming back here a little bit later to discuss Presence of Mind. Um, but now I'm just going to give you the rune pages that I use and that I think objectively are the best. So we're going to go over Blue 1. This is what I take pretty much every game on Blue. This is what Gyeon is currently taking, Gyeon 100, the Korean Grandmasters Challenger Kayn player. I would consider him the best Kayn in the world. The Korean solo queue is a totally different beast than EU West and NA. So it's pretty standard Dark Harvest, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection. Relentless Hunter is Kayn's best hunter rune for Blue Kayn, of course. And then we take Inspiration, we take Magical Footwear and Futures Market. The reason that we take these is because, as I discussed in my form guide video, Blue Kayn spikes very hard early mid game, and then falls off late game. So the reason that we take these runes is because this allows us to play around power spikes a lot more, because Magical Footwear gives you 300 free gold, and Futures Market essentially, like, it's not technically free gold, but it's basically giving you like 200 free gold to hit your power spikes sooner, which is the important thing for Blue Kayn. You want to hit your power spikes as soon as possible. So while there are other viable excuse me, while there are other viable rune secondary rune pages to take on Blue Kayn, this is going to let you come out swinging, and if you're hitting your stride and getting your power spikes, you're going to get them sooner and you're going to crush the game. And then what you do is you use these faster power spikes to put the game away, i.e. getting picks and securing objectives. So the other two pages we'll talk about is Blue 2. This is what Gyeon was using for a while. And a lot of the reason why we would take this page specifically is just because of how unbalanced Nimbus Cloak is in the current state of the game. Nimbus Cloak, I would say, is by far and above the best rune shard, so like the little runes here, or the minor runes, whatever they're called. This is the best minor rune in the game, hands down. It is incredibly powerful, especially paired with shorter cooldown summoner spells like smite. So when we get our smite item and we can smite champions in fights to get movement speed, it is very, very strong. And then we take Gathering Storm. This is just, it's kind of insurance. It basically is only going to give you 14 AD, maybe 29, because that's around when games should be ending as Blue Kayn. But it does give you a little bit of insurance as the game goes on. Alternatively, you could take Water Walking or Absolute Focus here, but I think the Gathering Storm is the best of the other blue shards that you could take. So yeah, this is definitely a viable rune page if you really like Nimbus Cloak. I don't think it's as strong as the inspiration page, but this is mostly comes down to personal preference. And then blue 3, we have Presence of Mind and Coup de Grace. As you can see in the other pages, all the primaries are the same. These should be your primaries all the time on Blue Kayn. So, excuse me. So Presence of Mind and Coup de Grace, this is mostly a quality of life rune. It's going to make sure that you never run out of mana. I don't really like this page that much because as you learn the champion and you get better at managing mana costs, your need for this rune really goes away. And Coup de Grace, while it does do damage, this rune has been nerfed a lot. Like, a lot. It is a shadow of its former self. So it's not going to contribute as much damage as hitting your power spikes faster or the scaling that Gathering Storm would give you. So you can take this page. I know that some high elo Kayn players like it. I'm not going to recommend it, and I base my entire argument off of what Gyon uses. So, maybe if he swaps to this, I'm wrong. You can take it, but this is just my opinion. So you can use this page. I would not. So now we'll talk very briefly about red runes because these are even more set in stone. Super standard page. Conquer, Triumph, Tenacity, Last Stand. You can take Alacrity if they have absolutely no hard crowd control, but those games are seldom, very few and far in between. So, and then your Domination page, super standard, just Sudden Impact, Ravenous Hunter. They're the best. Alternatively, you can take Eyeball Collection for the pure AD scaling because Sudden Impact does fall off pretty hard. This will just help your early game ganks a little bit, whereas Eyeball Collection doesn't do anything until you're already rolling. So I don't like Eyeball Collection a whole lot because this rune just doesn't do anything unless you're already ahead, whereas Sudden Impact helps you get ahead. And there are games where you won't finish Eyeball Collection. There are games where you won't complete the little mini side quests. So if you aren't going to take Domination Secondary on Red Kayn, you can take Inspiration if you like free boots and CDR. A lot of high elo junglers like this page on Rost, or Red Kayn, because we scale off of CDR. We're a very sustained damage champion, and free boots is just 300 free gold, lets you hit Black Cleaver Spike a little bit faster. That's pretty much it for rune pages. There's a few other, but they're so niche that this is a super general video. I don't want it to be very long. So I'm not going to go over them. I'm just going to take 1 minute to really quickly go over Presence of Mind on Rost specifically. It's good. As you can see, it has a good win rate, much lower pick rate than Triumph. It's a good rune. The only instance where I would take this is where the enemy team is incredibly beefy and fights will be very long. If the enemy team is just like bruisers, not really any tanks, like I would only take Presence of Mind if they have 2+ tanks. And by tanks, I don't mean like Darius, Irelia. I mean like Scion, Ornn, Volibear, Malphite, Poppy, like actual tanks, not bruisers. So that's my thoughts on Presence of Mind as a main as a main rune on Rost. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to keep this video short. I stream on Twitch TV/Rostafarian. Come check me out for some Grandmasters and a Kayn gameplay if that's what you want to do. If not, hope you have a good day. Good luck in solo queue.